On the news, Supreme Court declares Ifeanyi Odi PDP governorship candidate in Ebonyi State. PDP crisis worsen as Makinde insists Ayu must resign. Blocking Lagos-Ibadan Expressway illegal, federal government tells protesting Nigerian students. It's good to have you join us on News Now this evening. I am Abisola Adebayo. We begin the news in the Federal Capital Territory, where the Supreme Court has announced Ifeanyi Odi as the governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) in Ebonyi State. The Apex Court, in a unanimous decision by a 5-man panel of justices, vacated the judgment of the Court of Appeal that ordered the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to recognize Senator Joseph Obinaogba as flag bearer of the party for the 2023 gubernatorial contest in the state, saying the judgment of the lower court is incompetent in law as it was filed without the leave of court. Which was headed by Justice Amina Ogi, thereafter held that the appeal which Ifeanyi lodged before the Apex Court was meritorious and deserved to succeed. Still on politics, Governor Seyi Makinde of Oyo State has demanded the resignation of Iyorchia Ayu, the national chairman of the People's Democratic Party (PDP). Makinde made the demand at the PDP Southwest Stakeholders meeting with the presidential candidate of the party, Atiku Abubakar, in Ibadan, the capital of Oyo State. The governor explained that he is of the opinion that accepting inclusivity within the PDP is a paramount factor to be considered if the party seeks to rescue Nigeria come 2023. He thereafter called for the resignation of the national chairman, saying it's for the people of the South to feel a sense of belonging in the party. Meanwhile, the national chairman of the PDP, Iyorchia Ayu, has been under pressure in the last few months, with demands for his resignation coming from different quarters, especially the camp of Nyesom Wike, the governor of Rivers State. The call for Ayu's resignation is said to be on the grounds that the national chairman and the presidential candidate of the party cannot be from the same region. To discuss this further, I'm now being joined on the news by public affairs analyst Ilbros Oshoma. Mr. Oshoma, thank you so much for joining us on the news. This is the first time Governor Seyi Makinde will be demanding Iyorchia Ayu's resignation publicly. How exactly would you react to that?
Yeah, I think this crisis is a long time coming. Also, the Atiku faction did not handle this crisis very well. Haven't produced a presidential candidate from the north. It would have been, an easy thing to do, to now find a way of balancing the equation and quickly reshuffling, the executive members of the party. Waiting until the call for the resignation of the party chairman, is heightened. For me, it's unnecessary. And even if the party chairman resigns today, all of these misgivings will still be there. The party chairman and his supporters also would feel shortchanged that, this call for his... waiting until the call is heightened, for me, I think it's unnecessary. These are issues that ought to have been resolved immediately. The election, the primaries that produced Atiku, ended. Also, considering the fact that there were, a call for the party to produce a presidential candidate from the South. But the party haven't produced a anticipation. That was what even led to the party chairman emerging from the North Central. Haven't now produced a presidential candidate from the North also, it would have been tidier to quickly resolve the issue of the party chairman and the presidential candidate coming from the same zone. But that said, what's the provision of the constitution, the PDP constitution in all of
Network issues with Mr. Liberosa Sharma. The PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar says he was marveled by the level of mobilization of party members in Lagos State ahead of the 2023 general elections. Atiku, who visited the state on Tuesday to attend a series of activities, spoke at a meeting with party members, leaders and candidates for various positions in the forthcoming election. The PDP presidential flag bearer will promise to support the party to win the 2023 elections in the state, urged the party stakeholders to work harder to achieve this feat.
When I say I'm going to do something, if you like, bring the sky down, I will make sure I do it. I have come to see for myself that PDP is on ground in Lagos. And I have seen for myself PDP is on ground in Lagos. That makes me believe that this time around, Jando is going to be the next governor of Lagos State. You will see what we are going to do when the campaign starts in Lagos.
This state, there will be an upset in 2023.
What we want is a Nigerian president. A president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That is what we want. And that is what we have in you. We have had issues to the left, to the right. We care less. Our concern is the 2023 election. We know INEC will not shift the date for us.
With about 6 months to the 2023 general elections, presidential candidate of the opposition People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, has promised to prioritize the revival of the crawling economy through private sector participation. Atiku said this while addressing stakeholders at the Private Sector Economic Forum organized by the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Lagos. The presidential candidate decried the level of poverty and the disturbing rate of unemployment, which he said were among the major factors fueling insecurity in the land. There's details in this next report. The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, and other top party officials land in the presidential wing of the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos. They made their way to the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry in the Victoria Island area of the state to attend the Presidential Private Sector Economic Forum for the 2023 presidential election. At the commencement of the forum, Nigeria's current economic challenges takes the front burner.
The Nigerian economy has been inundated with a myriad of problems, among which are oil theft. Now a very major one that has led us now into borrowing because we are losing our revenue that we should be getting genuinely. We are now forced to borrow to keep the structure in place. Also, the issue of a sustainable subsidy regime that we have seen now and is getting worse every month. Of course, the very, very sad of insecurity where your life, my life, no longer is safe.
Responding to the questions, Atiku says the country's terrible economic situation should be blamed on the poor leadership of the present administration.
The Nigerian economy is crawling rather than growing. Nigeria's GDP grew at an average rate of less than 1% since the APC assumed power in 2015. Less than 1%. Compare this with an average growth of 6.5% in the 7 years earlier. Per capita income, a measure of citizens' well-being, has progressively fallen since 2015 because of declining output and a fast-growing population. Nigerians are worse off today than they were in 2015. We all know that as a fact. And why are we denying ourselves the truth and the facts?
To rid the nation of these problems, Atiku says Nigeria needs sound economic policies, which his government will provide if elected in 2023.
Economic prosperity is an integral part of my 5-point agenda, soon to be officially unveiled, that seeks to restore Nigeria's unity. 1, strengthen national security. 2, foster economic prosperity. 3, improve education. 4, delivery and restructure the polity. 5.
The LCCI Private Sector Economic Forum will also accommodate other presidential candidates on different days to tell Nigerians their plans to bring the country out of its present economic woes and how prepared they are to lead the country come 2023. Abisola Adebayo, TV360 News. The federal government says protesting students who blocked a busy section of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway were violating the law. The Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, said this while briefing State House correspondents shortly after this week's Federal Executive Council meeting presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari at the Presidential Villa in Abuja on Wednesday. Fashola explained that the Nigerian Constitution recognizes and protects the citizens' rights to public protest, but does not empower any Nigerian to inflict pain and inconvenience on other people. A protest staged by members of the National Association of Nigerian Students on Tuesday led to a gridlock on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, leaving motorists and passengers stranded. The protest took place just after the Shagamu interchange section of the expressway towards Lagos. Meanwhile, the federal government has ordered buyers of 2 underpriced public properties in Lagos to pay the differentials of the real values of the properties as of 2001. The Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, will disclose this on Wednesday while briefing State House correspondents after the week's Federal Executive Council meeting said the council arrived at a decision following a memorandum presented which revealed that the government was short-paid in the transaction on the properties seized by officials of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency NDLEA. According to Fashola, the properties, a 4-bedroom bungalow on Adeniyi Jones and another 5-bedroom duplex on Amadasun Street in GRA, Ikoyi, Lagos, which sold for 2 million naira and 5 million naira respectively, were seized by the NDLEA in the course of narcotic prosecution.
Ministries, departments and agencies, heads of the ministries as accounting officers and the ministers must sign off now on requests for valuation of properties, especially when agencies are trying to buy properties, because we see that sometimes the ministers are not even aware, or the permanent secretaries, that proposals are being made for acquisition of those type of assets. Finally, we also propose that government approve the sale of 2 properties at the 2001 rate, which were 18 and 20 million at the time. Those were the market values of those properties, but they were interestingly sold at 5 million and 2 million in 2001. So we've said that government should approve that the buyer should pay the open market rate at that time in order to consummate the transaction. They were properties sold as a result of a prosecution for narcotics by NDLEA. So they were proceeds of drugs crime, but the valuation process followed the NDLEA Act instead of the financial regulations. So essentially those policy proposals were approved by government.
The Department of State Services DSS has told the Federal High Court in Abuja that its preliminary investigation established that hostage negotiator Atiku Mamu is a terror sponsor. In an affidavit in support of its ex parte motion filed before the court, the DSS also described Mamu as a logistics supplier to both local and foreign terror groups. The security agencies explained that Mamu, who had been leading negotiations with the abductors of the Kaduna-bound train passengers, was on his way to a meeting with foreign terrorist leaders before his interception in Egypt last week. Reacting to the situation, presidential spokesperson Femi Adesina maintained that the public should allow the DSS perform its duties.
So on Atiku Mamu, the DSS is handling that, and they have given updates, I think two times or 3 times. And the DSS has said for now, it will not be speaking on it again because the matter is already in court. In fact, if you check the papers today, the case had been filed. So we shouldn't speak on that for now.
We'll take a break here, but still to come, India partners Nigeria on COVID-19 vaccine production. Details of this story and more right after this break. Welcome back. Here is a recap of some of our top stories tonight. Governor Seyi Makinde of Oyo State has demanded the resignation of Iyorchia Ayu, the national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, PDP. Makinde made the demand at the PDP Southwest stakeholders meeting with the presidential candidate of the party, Atiku Abubakar, in Ibadan, the capital of Oyo State. The governor explained that he is of the opinion that accepting inclusivity within the PDP is a paramount factor to be considered if the party seeks to rescue Nigeria come 2023. Well, in case you missed any of our news bulletin or for more updates, do log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Google Plus at TV360 Nigeria, on Facebook or at TV360 Online.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
The president must see himself as the president of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places, the Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On TV360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians are saying in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
TV360, dissecting the issues.
The Minister of Health, Osage Anire, has disclosed that the Federal Executive Council, FEC, has approved the production of vaccines in commercial quantities to support routine immunization programs in the country. The FEC meeting, chaired by President Muhammadu Buhari, also deliberated on the partnership deal, which has been sealed with an Indian firm, Serum Institute of India. In the new arrangement, BioVaccine Nigeria, an indigenous public firm, will control 15% of the market share, which will be used for contract manufacturing of those vaccines as an initial step over the next few years when the plants in Nigeria will start to work.
The Serum Institute of India is the largest vaccine producer in the world and also has vaccines that are approved by World Health Organization. So all other countries, including UNICEF, procure also from Serum Institute of India. And in the partnership, the Serum Institute of India requires that you must have a certain order. If we help you to produce in Nigeria, who will buy? And that's what we call the market access. Because vaccines are not things you put on the shelf where people go and buy like Panadol. They have to be purchased by government, and they are supposed to be administered by government, by the Primary Healthcare Development Agency. So who will buy? So government now has approved 15% of the vaccines that UNICEF normally supplies us for BioVaccine to supply through contract manufacturing with the Serum Institute of India. And with that beginning, Serum Institute of India will now be comfortable enough to come and join BioVaccine Nigeria in building their manufacturing plant here in Nigeria, in Ota. So that arrangement has now been approved by the Federal Executive Council for the bio-vaccine to have 15% of the market share, which will be used for contract manufacturing of those vaccines as an initial step over the next few years when the plant in Nigeria starts to work.
We'll take a break now and return with business updates. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Simisola Adegun is standing by to give us the latest in the world of business. Simisola, what's the latest?
Thank you, Abisola. Welcome to business. The Senate has rejected the 2023 to 2025 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper, which proposed a 6 trillion naira tax and import duties waivers in the 19.76 trillion naira 2023 budget. The chairman of the Senate Committee on Finance, Solomon Olamilekan, expressed his dissatisfaction at the opening of a 5-day interactive session with heads of revenue-generating agencies on the MTEF FSP on Tuesday in Abuja. The senator also kicked against the projected 12.41 trillion naira in the 2023 budget as proposed by the executive arm of government to finance the 2023 budget. More in this next report. The recently approved 2023 to 2025 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy papers by the Federal Executive Council (FEC) has been met with disagreements at various levels of assessment, a development which has given rise to different debates. One of such is this 5-day interactive session between the heads of revenue-generating agencies in the country to review the content of the proposed 2023 to 2025 MTEF FSP in Abuja on Thursday. In her opening remarks, Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning Zainab Ahmed informed the committee that the 19.76 trillion naira proposed as the 2023 budget will have a deficit of 12.43 trillion naira because 6 trillion naira has been projected as tax and import duty waivers, while fuel subsidy will go up a whopping 6 trillion naira.
Most sectors are reporting positive growth. The broad-based growth reflects the effective implementation of the economic sustainability measures that have been carried through by this government with the support of the National Assembly.
In his reaction, the chairman, Senate Committee on Finance, Solomon Adiola, rejected the budget proposals. Expressing his discomfort with the minister's submissions, he said there was a need to block all revenue leakages and misuse in ministries, departments and agencies, as well as control expenditure to free funds for needed infrastructure development and provision of social services.
Committee frowned at the projected 12.41 trillion budget deficit contained in the 2023-2025 MTEF FSP and the alarming projection of non-provision of Treasury-funded MD's capital project in 2023. This scenario is unacceptable and we must find ways to drastically reduce this deficit, this humongous figure.
Ahmed, however, said the issue of the budget deficit is a result of debt servicing, adding that tax credits are issued when companies construct projects and the projects are certified and issued certificates by the Federal Ministry of Works.
The federal government aggregate expenditure is projected to be 19.76 trillion, and this is inclusive of expenditures of 64 government-owned enterprises that we have been aggregating and bringing into the national budget. In this scenario, the budget deficit is projected to be 11.3 trillion in 2023 And this is up from 7.35 trillion in 2022. This represents 5.01% of the estimated GDP, and this, of course, distinguished senators, is above the 3% as allowed by the Fiscal Responsibility Act.
Defending the proposed tax credit, the chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Mohammed Nami, told the committee that the incentive was an important innovation of government, adding that it had yielded positive results from September 2019 when it was introduced through the Executive Order 7 by President Muhammadu Buhari. Simisola Digun, TV360, Lagos. Well, the Nigerian stock market failed to maintain its bullish stand from previous day trading, with Wednesday's market declining at 0.10%. Market breadth closed negative as well, with 14 gainers against 19 losers. The performance of market indices shows that all-share index closed at 49,575 basis points, representing a one-week loss of 0.05%. The equity shared a total of 197 million volume of shares, valued at over 2 billion naira in 3,462 deals. FGN Cocoa Processors and Champs PLC pulled the most losses with 59 kobo. Wednesday stopped advances are led by Regalines, Alliance Insurance and Associate Bus Company, earning 57 naira. Now the story is similar as major stock markets across Europe and Asia fell on Wednesday, just 24 hours after a report which showed stubbornly high prices in the United States prompted a decline in the country's stocks. So there the UK's FTSE and Japan's Nikkei end in the bears at 1.7% and 2.78%. Surprisingly, a last-minute risk taken in US stocks, the Dow Jones rose the markets by 0.33% just before the close of trading as investors tried to find their footing after the biggest one-day drop in more than 2 years. Well, that is on stock. Back to you, Abisola.
Thank you very much, Simisola, for that update on the foreign scene. The President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, has unveiled a legislative proposal to impose windfall levies worth $140 billion on energy companies in a bid to lessen the effect of surging gas and electricity prices that threaten economies and households in the country. In a State of the European Union speech addressing the plenary session of the European Parliament, she outlined the structural reform of the European energy market that has been under serious strain following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Her speech comes after Russia said earlier this month it would not reopen its main Nord Stream 1 pipeline to supply Europe, the latest in a string of supply cuts, which Moscow blames on Western sanctions imposed over its invasion of Ukraine. In sports, the 12th Nigerian Naval Games, which were held in Lagos, came to an end on Tuesday evening. The competition, which had the 6 naval commands of the Federation in participation, featured 22 sporting events. While congratulating the medalists at the events, the Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Awal Gambo, explained that the activities of the events were positioned to contribute its quota towards tackling the security challenges facing the nation. On his part, the Minister of Youth and Sport Development, Sunday Dare, recommended the Navy and urged other arms of the force to emulate the Navy.
I would like to encourage everyone to sustain one form of sport or the other as the resultant effects are enormous, including effective discharge of our constitutional mandate. It is on this note that I congratulate everyone that participated, and particularly those that won medals.
The greatest number of our sporting talents in Nigeria came from the forces, from the police force, from the Navy, from the Army, and from the Air Force. It is time to return to that era. The Choma Ajunwas of this world came from the police force, and the list is endless.
Well, that's the size of our news bulletin this evening. Thank you for watching. I am Abisola Adebayo. Bye for now.